Welcome to the worst sports channel on YouTube, Hot Garbage Sports with me, Coach Ryan D. The Vancouver Canucks, Canuck fans, Vancouverites, Knuckleheads, your team has just secured one of the best minds in hockey in Jim Rutherford, formerly general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins and proud creator of 2 Stanley Cups in Pittsburgh's legendary dynasty there in the Crosby-Malkin era. So the Canucks are a team that since the Sedins, unfortunately, you guys haven't seen a ton of success. I feel for the city of Vancouver. They have never won a Stanley Cup in their entire history of the NHL. It is painful for a Canadian brethren team to be able to experience this, but Jim Rutherford may be the man to get you on the right path. So let's talk about what Jim Rutherford did in Pittsburgh and what that could mean for you in Vancouver as a Vancouver Canucks fan, starting with the Rutherford trades. This is what he's best known for. Jim Rutherford is not a developer. He's not a developer of young talent. He's not a draft and develop guy. Rutherford makes big deals and big trades, and he goes for veteran players to make an impact today and now. And he is excellent at pairing line mates together and creating team continuity and chemistry. Rutherford's deal coming into Vancouver says he gets complete autonomy of this team, and at 72, this man's not playing around. He wants to go ahead and leave a legacy, and that legacy finishes with the first Stanley Cup in Vancouver, and he's gonna do this through trades. And Vancouver fans, if you're new to Hot Garbage Sports, consider giving us a subscribe. We cover some of the best in the NHL. We're an excellent channel with coaches, breakdowns, insights. Not a bad thing to add to your hockey homepage and your repertoire for sports here on YouTube. So Vancouverites, theoretically, based on what happened in Pittsburgh, you should be prepared for anyone and everyone to be traded in Vancouver, with the exception of a few core guys like maybe Quinn Hughes, Bo Horvat. I think even Elias Pettersson could be on the trade block. I mean, I would trade him. I've told you I'm not a Pettersson fan. Anything could be moved, including Thatcher Demko. So what were the trades that Rutherford ended up making? Oh, just little ones like James Neal. Neal was a 40 goal scorer for Pittsburgh and instrumental in one of their cup runs with Crosby and Malkin, and he shipped him out of there. He ended up shipping James Neal out for Nick Spaulding and Patrick Hornquist. And those 2 guys ended up on a cup running team. So he will trade superstars for depth. And we all know what happened to James Neal after that. He found his way into Vegas, did excellent there. And then in Edmonton and in Calgary, just back and forth. Ooh, James Neal did not have a good end, but he had a lot of success with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Rutherford said, buddy, you're out. Then what did he do? He went and found a top 6 to play with Crosby and Malkin, and that was Phil Kessel. Hot dog jokes aside, Phil Kessel was an excellent player for the Pittsburgh Penguins and instrumental in their 2 cup wins. Rutherford traded futures. He ended up trading a first-round draft pick as well as Kasperi Kapanen to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The trade actually worked out pretty well for both. Kessel was going to go nowhere in Toronto. Toronto needed to rebuild, so they ended up getting a prospect and a pick. Kapanen ends up playing 4 to 5 years in Toronto. Kessel brings 2 cups to Pittsburgh. It was a good deal. Big game hunting from Mr. Rutherford. He was also able to add some under-the-radar players. How about Justin Schultz? People were going, oh my God, a 3rd-round pick for Schultz? Are you crazy? Why would you bring him in? Schultz was instrumental in their blue line and was a top 4 player immediately with the shakeup moving over to the Penguins. How about Trevor Daley? Trevor Daley was a really strong player over there for Pittsburgh. And then Hagelin, Hainsey, and my favorite, Nick Bonino, that got us the greatest call ever on CBC Hockey Night in Canada, the Bonino call. Fantastic job. It didn't end there, though. Rutherford ended up making mountains and mountains of trades after that for the likes of David Perron. Ryan Reeves had a coffee break here. Rutherford did everything he could to keep Pittsburgh in their cup window and maximize the return and the window on Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. But perhaps his most notorious trade was the fact that he shipped Kessel out of there in his prime while he was still effective. This just goes to show you, Canucks fans, that nobody is going to be untouchable. Nobody's going to be off the table. He went and acquired Kessel. He ended up trading Kessel. I'm pretty sure if Jim Rutherford's mother was still alive, Rutherford would probably trade his mother if it meant it got his team better. He is the definition of It's just business, baby. The second piece of the GM's job is free agent signings. And frankly, there's nothing spectacular here, but there's no failures. He didn't really make any big moves. He didn't really make any small moves. Most of his moves were done in trades. No huge splashes were really made in free agency. So that doesn't mean that won't happen with the Canucks, because he'll acquire the best player available. But if he doesn't think the value is there, and we've talked about it many times, most hockey people do, that the value in free agency is usually pretty low, he doesn't make a ton of moves. He adds depth pieces into there, pieces that could end up in the AHL, the bottom 6, or the bottom 2 pairing, or maybe even in the bench and in the stands. Probably the biggest free agent signing he ended up making was from the Winnipeg Jets, Brandon Tanev, to a 6-year deal. This was a massive signing for Pittsburgh. He is a good signing. He ended up getting shipped over to Seattle. Tanev's a good player. He was replaceable, but I think Rutherford knew his tenure was winding down. The 6-year deal he ended up signing Tanev to was an overpay, but Tanev's a reasonable player, and then he ends up getting rid of him anyway in the Kraken draft. So Rutherford signings, not too bad. And then how about draft picks? What draft picks? This guy doesn't draft. If you're expecting draft picks when he comes in with Jim Rutherford, doesn't happen. Doesn't mean the old dog can't learn new tricks, but he only picked once in the first round, and it was Kasperi Kapanen, and he ended up trading him out of there. Fantastic job, Jimmy. 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, and 21. There was no first round draft pick. Everything was shipped out for veteran players in that win now window with Crosby and Malkin. So when we look at the Canucks, what does this mean? I think the Canucks know that there is a massive appetite to win a cup. I think it's 72. Rutherford is not in this for a 10-year rebuild. Rutherford is in this for a 1 to 3 year window to become a cup contender. So I do expect that Jim Rutherford is going to make some massive moves here in Vancouver. But why don't you tell me what you expect, Vancouverites? Tell me what you expect, Canuck fans. Let me know. Are you thrilled with this? I think you should be thrilled with this. Do you think a Stanley Cup is going to come to Vancouver? Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.